Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to answer a question that's been asked to me a few times. I'm going to answer what is a strata windup. So this is when basically a developer comes in and purchases your condo building for future development. I'm going to talk about how that process generally looks and why it might make sense for you to do it and who it works out best for. Real quick before we get started, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a real estate agent in Vancouver, and I make these educational videos to help you in your real estate journey. I also make content designed to help you make your move in and around Vancouver. So if you like that, if that sounds interesting to you, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video. And if you want to talk one-on-one about your situation, you can book me in the Calendly link below. So I have some personal experience with strata windups in a couple of scenarios. I used to live in a building in Richmond. I think I've spoken about it on this channel before. That was an older building. It was 40 years old. It was going through a bit of a disrepair process, and there was a lot of conflict happening within the strata in terms of whether we should repair this building or what specifically we should do. In this case with this building, it needed building envelope work, it needed balcony work, roof was coming up, there's a whole ton of work. And for my one-bedroom condo, the quote that I received in terms of a special levy was around $60,000. I know the two bedrooms, their quote was around $80,000. So significant when you look at the value of the real estate was anywhere between $300,000 to say $500,000. We would be looking at spending 15% plus on repairs towards fixing an older building that wouldn't put us out of the woods. There would be future repairs needed down the road. So in this instance, in my own building, I looked around me in a strata meeting. I saw a bunch of people that did not want to pay this high significant cost to repair the building. As I mentioned, it was older. There's going to be more work coming up. So the realtor in me stood up and said, hey, why don't we look at a strata windup scenario? Why don't we bring in real estate agents that specialize in this, and we can have them see what our building is worth to a developer. A developer may look at your strata corporation and your strata building very differently than you would, especially if there's some rezoning potential there. So for example, a lot of areas are upzoning. Townhome sites, older townhome sites are being upzoned to high-rise sites. So you can imagine from a developer's perspective, even though you may have a nice unit and it's serving you well, a developer is going to look at that based on the land itself. They're going to look at what they're able to build. So the reason why your strata corporation may look at doing something like this is your building is in significant state of disrepair. You're going to have to put a lot of money into it. You're having issues coming to an agreement on getting these special levies approved to fix the building. In these scenarios, you may want to look at what a developer will pay for your property, because it's very often much higher than market value if you were to sell your unit on its own. So in my scenario in Richmond, it was weird, to be honest with you. I brought it up. Half of the strata or half of the owners there, truthfully, they hated me from that day forward. Kind of a scenario where I'm walking around the corner in the hall and I can see people discussing, knowing that they're kind of talking about me, and yet I would have 50% of the owners kind of pull me aside when they saw me, and they would literally cheerlead me because they were like, look, we need you to represent us and this is what we want to do. They didn't have the money to put 60,000 cash or 80,000 cash. They didn't have the money to be able to put it into this building. So I felt for both sides, because we had a set of owners that were willing to put any amount of money into the building because they didn't want to move, and I understand that, and the other side that just didn't have the money to do it. And if you saw a previous video of mine, we were not allowing rentals at the time. So everyone was a homeowner. It's not like we could move somewhere else and rent that unit out. So it created quite a conflict. Like I said, I was a hero and a villain, and I was the realtor, and I didn't like any part of it. But at the end of the day, it didn't go through. I moved on to a new building. The reason why it didn't work out in our scenario, in my opinion, is in our land there, you could only actually put townhomes there. It wasn't rezoned to allow for high density. Where I find strata windups work really well is if you're in a strata, again, huge repairs upcoming, state of disrepair, but you're perhaps in a townhome strata that now got rezoned for high-rise construction. If you think about it, if you're in a 50-unit strata or 60 units, and now a developer can come along and build a 350 or a 400 unit tower, you can imagine what they'd be willing to pay for that land. What I'm going to talk to you about next, though, is how the voting process works and how you need to get everyone on the same page to be able to move forward on something like this. So how the Strata Wind Up process works is you need 80% of the vote from your Strata Corporation. You need 80% of people or above to be in favor of at least going down the Strata Wind Up road. So you would do this at an SGM, or you would do it at an annual general meeting. You would take the vote, should we go through this process? And assuming you get 80% plus, you can now begin the process of bringing the real estate agents in to present to you what they're going to do for your property. And it's very different than marketing or selling a residential unit. It's a work backwards equation. So we would essentially look at, okay, what is the zoning allowing for us to build here? What is the FSR? How much square footage? How would we break that down into units? What is the price per square foot today selling for new units of this type of magnitude or this type of quality? And we basically work the equation right down until we come up with a land value. And that's where we determine, okay, this is what a developer is likely to pay for the land. Now, when that land goes on market, it very often does not have an asking price. It's not like putting something on the MLS and saying, I want 500K for it. It goes through a bid process. And essentially it would be sent out to all the top developers out there, and they would determine what the value of that is to each developer. Hopefully you get multiple offers, or multiple developers looking at it, interested in it. And then once the offers come, another meeting is had with the Strata Corporation where again it has to get voted that this is something we're going to do. Now, I did a video recently where I made $1 million mistake, and if you want to get some background on real estate strata windups, I'll link to it here. But basically I chose a building that did not proceed with the strata windup like I just mentioned, over a building that ended up getting wound up, and each owner would have gotten around $1 million in that other building. That's not always the case, but you can expect to get significantly more than market value, or it's just not going to make sense for yourself or for the developer. So guys, I hope you learned something in this video. If you did, hit the like button, because what it'll do is it'll send the video out to more people so they can learn from it as well. If there are any questions that I didn't address that I missed in this video, if you're curious about strata windups or your own situation, book me in the Calendly link below. Happy to talk to you one-on-one about it. And also subscribe to this channel if you enjoy real estate content that's focused on Vancouver. I do about 1 to 2 videos a week, and that way you won't miss a future video. But thank you so much for watching this one, and have a wonderful day.